All right, Little Legends, The Great Troll Rescued by Tom Percival. We are on Chapter 10, An Evil Scheme. The Wicked Witch was still laughing as Red and the others looked at each other uneasily. She'd been laughing for now well over 2 minutes. Now what? Asked Rapunzel quietly. Same as before, replied Anansi. Now we rescue my mom. Cole, can you use your magic to break her chains and get us all out of here? Everyone turned to look at Cole, whose glowing blue ears flushed pink. Well, muttered Cole. The thing is, he sighed heavily and took a deep breath. I'll try, he began to perform his dance spell. The witch stopped laughing and watched Cole with interest. Suddenly Cole's whirling stopped, and he hung motionless in the air. Surprise rippled across his face, shortly followed by worry, then finally fear. Yarg! He yelled, as bright blue sparks popped off him in all directions. He burst into the air, leaving a trail of magical smoke behind him. Red, Jack, and the others ducked as he shot overhead, bouncing around the dungeon like a piece of exploding popcorn. Eventually, he skidded to a halt, lying dazed on the dungeon floor, right next to the witch. I completely forgot to say, cackled the witch. Any magic cast in this room outside of the safety of my magic circle will backfire. I mean, really, children, what do you take me for? Do you take me for a fool? She tutted. How do you think I'm holding all these creatures here? She gestured at her magical beasts. Each one of them would love to get their teeth into me, but they're powerless. The only place where magic is possible is here. She pointed down at the glowing ring on the ground. Which is where I shall be taking your little friend. She clicked her fingers, and Cole's slumped figure slid across the flagstones, bumping in to the central column. No! Screamed Ella, lunging forward. The witch waved her hand vaguely in Ella's direction. Green shoots sprang up from the floor at Ella's feet, thickening into a tangled mass of thorns until she was completely surrounded. Red tried to help, but the spiky prison spread outward until Red, Jack, Betsy, Rapunzel, and Anansi were all also trapped in their thorny cell. Red peered through the thorny branches surrounding her as the witch used her magic to control Cole, as though he was a puppet. First she made him stand up, and then she made him do backflips and other clumsy dance moves. This is fun, the witch exclaimed. Let him go, shouted Ella. I'm afraid I can't do that, replied the witch. You see, I need him for my spell. But why? Sobbed Ella. Surely your magic is powerful enough to do anything you want. Well, I'm glad you can see that, said the witch. Most people fail to come close to grasping the depth of my skills. It's all just, please don't hurt me, or arg, or you've turned my arm into a tail. It's so selfish. I am, as you say, immensely powerful. However, the witch sighed, this spell is supposed to be for bringing magical creatures back to areas where they have been forgotten about or died out. So at its heart, it is a good spell, which means that I, as a wicked witch, am not able to cast it. She paused for a moment. But what if a good fairy happened to be at the heart of the spell? What if I used his goodness to fulfill my needs? Why, then I would finally have my loyal magical army. She narrowed her eyes and stared at Ella. Why else do you think I first brought you and your fairy creature to stay here? I've been planning this for a long time, and now that I have a troll, my collection is complete. She burst out laughing again, then looked around with a disappointed expression. Huntsmen? She screeched, a stormy expression on her face. Huntsmen! Immediately the huntsman bustled out of the stone cell the dragon was chained in. Sorry, ma'am, he muttered. The dragon had a nasty splinter in her paw, so I thought I'd just... The witch traced her finger across her narrow lips, and the huntsman fell silent. Is there even a shred of villainy within you? She hissed. Does any part of you want to even try to be evil? The huntsman shuffled his feet and looked at the floor. I'm sorry, I just... Oh, forget it, shouted the witch. Chain that fairy up here, she gestured to a hollow in the center column, and we can get on, unless you're worried that he might have a splinter too. No, ma'am. Will do, ma'am. said the huntsman, walking forward to gently pick up Cole. Come on, little fella, he whispered under his breath. Up you go. Seconds later, Cole was securely fixed to the huge central column. The witch grinned. Now it's time, she cried with an evil laugh, flinging her arms up and holding them trembling in the air for a second. There was a devastating crack, as though the entire world had just split open, and the room filled with smoke and dazzling blue light. Through the confusion, Red could see Cole slumped down farther against the magical chains that held him, his head heavy on his chest. Cole! Screamed Ella. Cole! All they could do was watch as brightly colored streams of magic rose out of Cole in a twisting spiral. The streams of magic darkened as they flowed across the ceiling in rivers of churning smoke, winding toward the cells packed with magical creatures like snakes stalking their prey.